Uillinn West Cork Arts Centre podcast. Hello, my name is Gavin Buckley. I'm speaking to you from Skibbereen, County Cork, Ireland, where I work as a part of the front of house team at Uillinn West Cork Arts Centre. I've been working at the centre for a couple of years now, and the wonderful people working there have gone above and beyond to help me pursue subjects of great interest to me, namely blog writing and podcasting. Both of those fields afford me the opportunity to interact with the wide variety of artists that become associated with the centre through residencies and exhibitions. Fortunately, in spite of the recent COVID restrictions, I'm still able to reach out to artists over the internet and speak with them about their latest pursuits. Most recently, I got a chance to speak with Lily Horgan and Charlie Dunn. Lily and Charlie run a dance company, Meta4 Dance. In this podcast, we discuss how the company is going and touch on Meta4's collaborations with Uillinn. Hey, Charlie. Hey, Lily.
Hi.
Hiya.
So, for the people that don't know anything about you, could you give a bit of background about yourselves and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Charlie Dunn, and
I'm Lily Horgan.
we run a small contemporary dance company called Meta4 Dance Company. We're based in the northeast of England, in Northumberland, but we work internationally. We've worked at the Arts Centre in Skibbereen on a few occasions. We do a lot of different things, really. We've been running for about 4 years, is it now?
Yeah, 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, 4 years, I think it is.
Yeah.
And our main kind of focus for the company is that we try to make dance accessible for as many people as possible. And that can mean kind of tackling rural isolation, or working with people with learning disabilities. I guess that's our main focus at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, great. And what kind of dance would you say you would cover? How would you describe your own kind of production and dancing?
So our style is contemporary dance is what we do. We don't do kind of Graham or Cunningham technique. We've trained in that. So we both trained at Trinity Laban Conservatoire of Music of Dance in Greenwich in London, where we studied release technique, Cunningham, Graham. Any others?
Lamone.
Oh yeah, Lamone.
Yeah.
But our company doesn't practice that in particular. We do more of a release-based style. We try to make work that is honest and can be relatable to people. I think that's the main thing that we try to do, is make work that is from an honest starting point. A lot of the things that we make are based on real life experiences, either for ourselves or for the people that we work with. So we make pieces that are often inspired by communities that we work with. So we'll work with people quite closely and try and understand their points of views and where they come from and things like that, to build up a language between ourselves and the community, so that we can represent people and make their stories, thoughts and feelings, I guess, heard through dance. So each production is quite often very different. It can range from we made a piece with 5 dancers. Swiss Army Knife was 5 dancers.
Yeah.
Or solo work, or not always professional dancers that are performing. It's sometimes community members. So we cover quite a broad range of things.
Okay. And then, so could you give an example? I know that you've worked with Uillinn before in the past. Could you maybe highlight that and just show kind of, so you could explain to the audience kind of your process and what you went through before?
Yeah, so we did a residency at Uillinn 2 years ago in the summer. We were there for about 10 days, and we did like open community sessions with the community of Skibbereen and around that area, where we welcomed people in to sort of share their story on who they are and their identity, because the piece that we were making was about the identity of the dancer. So we sort of spoke with them and did lots of sessions, and we created a performance with the community dancers, which we then performed on the bridge outside Uillinn, which was well received, and everybody involved had a really good time. And then from that, we created a solo called Anonymous, which we then performed in the art gallery, which was really good. And we've had great feedback and great relationship with the people who watched. And yeah, it's really interesting for us. And that was kind of our starting residency with Uillinn. And from then, we've just grown with them, and our relationship with them has got better and stronger from then.
Okay, and then when you're making kind of a project, is it always with other people? And if so, then you kind of want to, like you said, you want to kind of get their feeling and capture their what they want to express. But yeah, so mainly I suppose is your focus working with people almost primarily?
Yes, yeah, I think our work is always focused around people.
Yeah.
If they're not directly involved in the actual performance, they will have always been involved in the creation.
Yeah.
Almost. Yeah, in some way they'll be involved in the creation. So in terms of our kind of method and the way that we create pieces, I suppose we do have a structure or an artistic practice. I mean, it's hard to give it too much detail, because I suppose like any art, every piece is different. But we often start with like a big idea of something that we want to explore. So for example, if we talk about Anonymous, which is the piece that we made at Uillinn, we were really interested in this idea of identity and how a performer can take on a different identity to what their actual identity is, and how when you're on the stage that is then different, and how can you have those two different identities, and can you show your real identity on the stage? So that was like the big idea behind it all, and what we wanted to explore. So instead of just merely going into the studio and spending a few days kind of mulling it over and working things out like that, we wanted to involve communities. We wanted to find real people with real stories, with real identities, because it broadens your horizons, it broadens your knowledge, and makes the piece better in our eyes. The piece was always bigger than just one person's identity. It was always bigger than that. It was looking at an identity of a community where people's identities cross paths. You can all live in one place, but it doesn't necessarily mean you all have the same identity. You just have elements that cross over. So that was what we wanted to explore in that. So we would then bring everybody into the studio, and we would talk about who we were, where we would come from, where our parents came from, where we were born, the small factors that were important to us, whether that's family, whether that's place, whether that's gender, whether, all of the variables that are there. So we open that discussion, we write things down, we explore different creative practices. So we would then work with the community members to kind of start embodying that in dance. So we would start with separating the dance from the identity conversation, so that we can kind of start getting movement going a bit more freely for them, and then slowly reintroducing those ideas that we've talked about previously, and working out how you can embody that feeling or that idea to create small phrases. And then it's about building those phrases so that they work within harmony with each other, and how you can interlace different stories and different identities and different pieces of choreography into a structure that tells a story that connects to audiences, so that people feel represented and connect on a personal level to the piece. And so I suppose that's kind of how we work through a piece in a roundabout way.
Brilliant. So at the time of recording, we're kind of coming out of the pandemic, well, hopefully anyway. But in the last year or two, obviously there's been social distancing and people have had to isolate and stuff. Can you talk a bit about the challenges of creating your projects during that, and maybe any lessons you've learned, kind of thing?
Yeah, so, well, looking back to not last year, year before now. No,
last year. It's not been that long. It's felt like it, but it's not been that long.
Looking back to last year, there was just one day where all of our work got cancelled, and we didn't really know what to do, did we? We were a bit lost. And it took a while to sort of adapt and try and think about how we can still work in a pandemic, essentially, because dance is very collaborative and social, yeah. So we have a youth company, and that went online, which brought some issues with the dancers and their online, their website, their laptops and their internet and things like that. And then to apply for funding and things, we had to adapt what we were going to apply for, because we couldn't dance with other dancers. We had to make more of a solo and just work with people in our bubble. And then of course lots of meetings went online, and but also theatres and organisations also had to adapt. So coming out of it, it's kind of made dance a bit more diverse in the way that you can watch it and view it, and which has been really good for small dance companies, because it's created more platforms for people to perform and create work.
It's a bit more of a level playing field, isn't it? Like anybody can post a video on Facebook.
Yeah.
So you've got the access of reaching people the same as a really well-established dance company.
Yeah, and also the benefit of everybody having to learn about watching things online and being more able online means that we have more of an audience online anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as Lily said, there was a period of time at the beginning of the lockdown when we kind of sat there and thought, okay, what does this mean for us, and what does this mean for us in the future? It's probably worth saying that we actually moved out of London 2 weeks before lockdown, so we were moving to a new area and trying to forge some connections in our new home, and then everything stopped. So it was a shock, but I think it's encouraged us to be more adaptable I mean, we're fairly adaptable anyway. We're fairly resilient. You know, we work anywhere. We're not. You know, we don't just work where we live, and we always try and make things as accessible as possible. As we've said before, you know, we're working with people who are who have accessibility issues is kind of what we do. So being forced to go online was a learning curve, but not something that we were completely bamboozled by. We saw it as an opportunity for change and tried to make it work. And we were also able to kind of support others in doing so. So it's it's been difficult, but I think it's been good. We
a good challenge.
A good challenge, and it's not just made us progress and develop, but the whole industry, I think, has taken a bit of a different route, and maybe for the better, we hope.
But then we'll say lockdown and pandemic aside, I presume that dancing, kind of making a living out of dancing production, I don't have kind of limited to just saying that's just dancing. I know that's a lot more than that because you help communities and such, but it must be difficult, I assume, to kind of have a stable life in just your profession. And you know, lockdown aside, can you talk about the kind of key factors that helped in making yourselves more stable, for want of a better word, in terms of your, you know, your company?
Yeah, sure. So dance is a difficult industry to make a substantial living in. I think you know, every dancer would agree that you do it because you love it, not because you think you're going to be a multi-millionaire.
No.
And that's very true. You know, going through the pandemic, making things available just for free because you want to connect with people, you want to help people, and you want to make work is just something that you do. And it is a very difficult industry, pandemic aside. We've done other jobs in the past that support us to make things happen. At the moment, we work as designers for a design company here in the UK, and are doing film work and social media and events, things like that, just to help us through this difficult time. And it just helps us to be able to keep going as artists and keep making work. But I think there is, you know, there's hope and there's light at the end of the tunnel, and that does seem to be happening. So it is possible to be a full-time dance artist. You don't always have a second job, but it has been.
It takes time.
It does take time. You have to build yourself up. You have to make the connections. You have to be willing to put yourself out there, and take risks.
Okay, and then so upcoming, you know, soon enough this month, there's going to be some sort of collaboration thing that you have going with Uillinn. Pretend I don't know anything about it, and can you talk about that project from its beginning until what's going to be happening, you know, sometime this month?
Yeah, so we received Arts Council funding in January to create live streaming performances online, and it's called Natural Theatres. And so the project consists of 3 different live stream performances. We've done 2 already. The first one was with What's That Dance Company, and the second one was with Pelican Theatre, which was last month. And the idea to do 2 for our final one, which is on the 14th of May, which we are performing in. The idea for the first 2 is to learn from them and to understand what goes wrong, what goes right, how to make it better, and how to make it a better experience for the audience. Because it's not really a well-known field, live streaming. So we just wanted to understand and learn as much as we could before our final performance. So yeah, the final performance is on the 14th of May, and we've been in rehearsals for 2 weeks to create the new piece, which is called Confluence, and it's going to be performed from the River Coquet in Northumberland, and Uillinn are going to be projecting it onto the outside of your building. I think it's at 9 p.m. So anyone walking around Skibbereen can have a look. And it's about half an hour long. And then afterwards, you can have a chat with us on the comments section.
Yeah, so you can watch it online on YouTube.
Yeah.
But then you can interact with it on the actual live stream. Just going back to what you were saying at the beginning of the project, is that it was it's to be able to create a theatre online for people to access art. It goes back to what we were saying about making dance accessible. It's not just about a reaction to COVID and everybody going online. It's a way of connecting to people who maybe can't go to the theatre or haven't experienced going to the theatre to watch live performance. But the other side of it is giving artists the option of performing in different locations and being able to have an audience for it. It doesn't have to just be a film. It can be live streamed, and it can be a performance from a site specific location. So it's giving that option of live stream because you want to, not because you have to. Yeah. That was really important to the whole project, wasn't it?
Yeah, and using the natural landscapes to create a more interesting and interactive performance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's where the whole idea came from, really, was that we actually worked with Uillinn on the April
2020.
Yeah, the April 2020 project.
Yeah.
Where we made a dance film from where we were living at the time, and that was based on the kind of consistency of nature and how that was still growing and flowing and moving on while the rest of the world was stood still. And that was the inspiration for the project, but also the final performance that we're doing. So the project was to kind of look at our natural environments and think, well, actually, these could be theatres, these could be sites to perform in. So why don't we do that? So then we also used it as our inspiration for our final performance.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. So are you going to be live streaming the thing on the May 14th? Sorry, the projection at 9 p.m. May 14th, Confluence. This is kind of the culmination of the project, and you're saying that that's going to be live streamed, that you're going to be performing that performance live.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
All right, so and then you said that people can check that out on YouTube online as well if they're not around Skibbereen. Is it just your own YouTube channel and stuff? And
yeah. So you can just find it on Meta4 Dance on YouTube. It will be on there. So
fantastic.
We're actually live at 7, aren't we?
Yes.
And then it's projected at 9 in Skibbereen because you wouldn't be able to see it otherwise.
Exactly.
Of course, yeah.
In terms of visibility.
But you can also, if you follow us on Instagram or Facebook, there'll be lots of information about it on there, on where to watch it and the link and everything.
Okay, brilliant. Looking forward to it. So just, I suppose, last thing, just in terms of the future for you guys, you know, kind of what are your hopes and aspirations for the future? How do you want the company to grow and in what way, and stuff like that?
Yeah, so we're we're looking to build the company. We obviously would love to run the company full time.
That's the dream.
That's the dream, but I think it's in the near future. I mean, we run it full time at the moment, but not necessarily in the same way. Employing other people to work with us would be great. You know, we work with people on a project to project basis, but to grow our team would be really nice. At the moment, it's just myself and Lily who run the day-to-day things with the company, and we have the creative ideas and make everything happen. But we do have a board of directors who advise us on the running of the company and help us build the company for the future. But yeah, it would be really nice to have some more people working with us. We're hoping to make bigger and better projects in the future. Can't say too much about what we're doing next, but yeah, there'll be more projects on their way soon.
That sounds so exciting.
It does sound so exciting, doesn't it? It sounds like a lot of work. That's what it sounds like. But yes, yeah, lots of big things on the way, and yeah, we hope that we can just work with more people and get more people involved. Our goal is never really to, you know, sell out massive theaters. I mean, that would be lovely, but that's not what drives us as a company. It's about connecting people to dance and showing people that contemporary dance is an option. I suppose as young dancers in the past, we came to contemporary dance quite late on, and we would just like to be able to show people that contemporary dance is there as an option. We don't expect everybody to love it, because not everybody is going to love everything.
No.
And that's fine. But just to be there to be able to say, hey,
Try this.
You might love it. And one person to love it and be like, wow, that was great. That would mean a lot to us.
Yeah.
I mean, that has already happened. Some people have done things with us and said, wow, that was great. I loved it. I'm going to do that more. But just to keep doing that is our main focus, really. Yeah, I guess that's the goal, really.
Yeah.
If there are people like me, and I know you've already covered it, and they want to kind of check out the performance, I know it's on the 14th of May and stuff, but if they wanted to get involved with you in the future, how could they do that? Through the social media and stuff?
Yeah, so if you follow us on, you can follow us on Facebook or Instagram. It's just Meta4 Dance, META number 4 dance. And we always post about what we're doing or what we might be doing, and call outs and that sort of thing, how to get involved.
Yeah, or you can go on our website, which is meta4dance.com, and you can always just get in contact with us on social media, send us a message, or you can email us. All of our contact details are on the website, so it's us at the other end of it. We don't have somebody else doing it, so if you message, you're going to get one of us too, and we're always happy to have a chat. You know, if you do watch the performance on the 14th, you can interact on that performance, so you can ask questions and it will be ourselves answering those questions. Or maybe you've watched it and after the performance you think, oh, I would love to know what this bit was about, or I'd love to know what the inspiration for this was, or where did you find the music, or any sorts of questions that are absolutely fine to ask. We don't mind answering them.
Always up for a chat.
Always up for a chat. Sometimes we might not have the answer that you're looking for, but we will do our very best to answer it.
Okay, wonderful. All right, thanks guys. I really do appreciate your time, and I really genuinely am looking forward to the performance and seeing what you do in the future. So yeah, thanks for taking your time every day for a little interview, and all the best in the future.
Thanks very much. Thank you for having us.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you very much for having us, and we look forward to working with you and
Going to Ireland soon.
Oh yeah, hopefully soon. Not sure when, but
Yeah,
we'll be there when we can be.
one day. All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Uillinn West Cork Arts Centre podcast. This podcast was brought to you by Uillinn West Cork Arts Centre and made possible with support from the Arts Council, Cork County Council and Department of Social and Family Affairs.